Hey Paris. Alright, how's everybody doing? Let me see, we are live. This is our Facebook Live. Excellent. I know we're up on YouTube, we're up and running. Alright, good evening everyone. It has been a few weeks since my last stream. It's been rough, not the market rough, but the whole COVID lifestyle, I'm not a big fan of just being locked in, not by choice, right? I like adventure, I like stepping out, I like doing things. It's just not been conducive, right? Like, can't go hiking, can't go to the beach, can't do anything. I don't even know why I live on an island if I can't do any of that. I'm sure some of you guys are facing the same struggles too. But I'm not here to rant about that. I'm just gonna dive into the market and see what is happening to you guys on Discord. All right. Now, I'm gonna start with the S&P, right? Because it's just been a single direction trade. Let's go to the ES1 futures. In my last stream, which was 2-3 weeks ago, I had said, drawings, right? We had a target, and we're still not there yet. And that target was up. And I don't care how bearish you are. I don't care how not functioning the economy is, how much of a standstill we're at. Happy Sunday, Delilah. What's up, Christopher? All right, we got everybody kind of jumping in on YouTube, waiting on the Facebook cam. But back to the S&P. I don't care how bearish anybody is, right? One thing that we kind of talk about in VIP is these Fed liquidity levels and when the Fed really jumps into the market to save it. And that's what we're seeing. And the reason if you guys have been following me in traditional, a lot of the guys are trading in stocks, right? I'm not. I'm just looking at the S&P because I know how the Fed moves the S&P. And my target was 292 on the SPY, so that's going to coincide with like 29.29 on the ES1. The reason I'm looking at ES1 because that's futures. It's more fluid, there's less gaps, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh, it's a rising wedge. Well, time and time again, we've shorted these wedges. It doesn't last long, right? The Fed does not want the market to crash, and they're printing money, and they're buying this up. They're buying up futures and after hours, and that's what they're going to do. You can short them until you go bankrupt, right? You can do that. You can say, oh, wedge breakdown, I'm going to short it. Oh, I'm going to short it again. That's not how it works. We're also waiting for this 61.8 retracement. That's why that's my target. So we're getting close. We're getting close to that. And I want to see what happens here. That's going to be the interesting point, because if this is going to continue to go, or if this is going to go back down, 29.37, 292, 293 on the SPY, let's go ahead and pull that chart up, is going to be my point of flipping back short, right? Yeah, I believe I have two separate sets of fibs. That must be the weekly. Let's kind of back out, see what we're looking at. Yeah, it's definitely the weekly, right? And so this is, the weekly charts are really interesting because they'll show you where the Fed's going to interfere. And they're also going to show you something else. So the market does not go up to make a higher high before it does a shakeout. And keep that in mind before, for now, because when we go into the BTC chart, a lot of people turn bearish after the 64% drop, and I've been saying I think we're ready to rally, right? And a prime example is going to be right here, right? Shakeout right here, bull run, shakeout, bull run. I'm not saying we're going to get a bull run now. We're in a standstill, right? But anybody that kept shorting with my 292 target still in play, you're just donating money to the market, right? There's kind of no reason to do that until we get up to here, 61.8, 292.6, 293. We could, if we close back above that $300 mark, then we're going to continue up, which makes no sense, but that's just You know, markets are irrational. No matter what anybody says, they're not really rational. They haven't been. All right, that covers my SPY. If you guys on YouTube or Facebook have any questions, please let me know. And if you guys want me to cover some of the other indices, like some of the Australian ones, I can do that too. Even back here, right, when we're getting close to that 38.2, 30.2 is my green fib. Like I said, there is a inverse head and shoulders here, and we're going to trade it because it's looking like we're ready to 61.8. And we've just been on track, right? It's been on track for this 61.8 retracement, 292. And that's when I'm going to scale out of some of my longs and see what's going to happen, right? I moved to 300, and it's a different story. And I know they're really close, but and there's no reason for the market to be rallying right now. There's absolutely no reason other than the Fed's buying futures. And what they're doing is you see this gap down, right? You see this gap down, and what happens? You know, after a wedge, they're going to bring shorts in. And what's the Fed going to do later on? They're going to squeeze them. So it's just, you know, bear trap, squeeze shorts, go higher. So don't fall for these bear traps. The same thing happened here. Same thing happened here. They gapped this one up. And after hours, so that was a futures move, right? And they trapped all these longs, all these shorts at 248. They gap it up to 256 and run it up. So that being said, you know, we're looking at that 293. There's also a gap on the chart here. All right, speaking of gaps, I'm going to pack up the SPY. We'll hop into that, Paris. I don't know why you sold your ETH the other day. I mean, your BTC the other day. I don't know, man. How much of that bailout? I don't think the Fed is buying crypto, but I know a lot of these 1,200 checks are going straight into crypto. And what's a lot of people were bearish on BTC on this rising wedge. A lot of people maintained a bearish bias after this drop. But I mean, if you look at this on a weekly, remember what I said about these liquidity levels, right? Whenever you see a big liquidity grab move, the market's ready to rally. I was saying that on the S&P. I said keep that in mind for the BTC chart. We see those 64% down weeks, right? The market goes higher, right? Sometimes this is not a bear market correction. I think we're done with that. This is just a liquidity grab, my perspective. Now, conversely, there's a lot of talk about this wedge, that it's going to nuke, that it's over, shorted back down to 3K, and I maintained a bullish stance. Some of our team maintained the bullish stance, or quote-unquote Bear Force 1 didn't. I'm not sure what they're doing with their BTC now. Now, yes, it was rather wedgy, right? But we did have a retest, but now we're actually trading higher, right? By higher, I mean, you look at these fibs, we're at the 50%. We're actually above the 50% today. And there's our 50% fib. And the next target's the 61.8. It's just like the S&P retracing back to 292. And I'm doing this off the last local high, right? So I'm not doing this off the last year's high. I'm doing this off this year's high, February's high. And 61.8 is going to put us at 79.32, right? And why am I targeting a 61.8? Well, if you look at the December rally, right, that was also our target. Actually, did we clear it? I'm getting confused with these things. We did not clear it, the 61.8. We didn't. If we go off the wick, but I think if we go off the close, we did. And that was the tricky part on that last top, right? So here we go down to the close when we fib the extension, and boom, it lines up perfectly. So that was the tricky part about this last top. I believe we didn't start shorting till 10-2. Now let's move drawings. More interestingly, that wedge was sort of non-existent on the CME chart. And why did I even bring up the CME chart? Well, it helped me identify the bottom in 2018, right here, right? This is from my Medium publication from then. And it was the CME chart that had the inverse head and shoulder, descending, broadening wedge. And this price action here was at 38.55. That was our last long before the bull run. So the CME chart, it doesn't include weekend price action, so you're going to see those weekend gaps, but it's also going to negate the weekend price action. What weekend price action is there's no institutions really trading on the weekend, so it's kind of a noise filter, right? And if you look at that, right now it's not really wedging, it's in an ascending channel. I don't know what to fully make of this channel just yet, but I do know that there's gaps higher. Where is this one stop? 72.70. I'll throw on Phantom and some of our in-house indicators shortly. But where's the 61.8 on this chart? Um, 81.80, right? So that's a possibility. But, as of now, we're in a ascending channel. This one's going to look a little different just because different liquidity levels on various exchanges. Happy birthday, Delilah. Rice, RHYS. I don't know why anybody's bullish on oil right now, right? I mean, there was a liquidity play, but of course oil is dying, right? Like, who the hell is driving, I don't know what the main demand is for oil other than transportation and energy. But I mean, look at these pumps, man. I don't know about you guys, but I can drive 3 days a week, right? And there's nowhere to go. I'm pretty frustrated about lockdowns and such. But the world's on lockdown, right? The only use case for oil now is going to be like shipping, freight, and energy. And I'm sure the energy portion of oil might get phased out as you move into like greener energy solutions right now, stuff that's more sustainable. All right. So the CME chart, right? Still looking for higher. Over the weekend, I signaled a head short on Ether yesterday at 189, 190. And today when I saw that bull flag setting up again, I said we're gonna try to add to this short back at 190. We hedged the absolute top yesterday, right? Like 189, I said starting 20, it came back up, I said adding another 20%, and then boom, the chart came down. Let's start using some of our in-house indicators, right? Make things interesting, see what we're picking up on scans, on hourlies, on various time frames. Back to BTC, I still want to see 74.01, 7400 get tested. Phantom's been doing pretty well, right? Especially over here, combine it with the scanner. It's done fairly well. I do think if you're gonna crash, right? If we're gonna nuke, we have to sweep some of these highs. We have to, but the chart's gonna have to stop out some of these late shorts, these late bloomers. But once again, I still think a 61.8 is very much in play. What about off this high? We're above that one, right? So the next 61.8 is going to be right here, just 7,900, right? I mean, that's ideally. I don't want to close out any of my longs on BTC until we get up there. Let's do a harmonic scan. Let's start with the hourly. I'm trying to pick up like a larger pattern with a higher target. It's 240. Yeah, I mean there's a 3D at 77, stop at 79, and that would be a wolf wave, right? A 3D, 3 drive, bearish 3 drive, and that doesn't mean we're gonna go back down to 3K. a possibility of some downward momentum, kind of like down here. But I still think we're in that CME channel, and I still think we're going to test this 61.8, which is 78.79. All right, Ether. As you guys know, I don't use Williams Fractal. All right, so 240. This is from my last update today. We all know why, why you're ejected here, but now it's looking like a bull flag, so I'd like to see continuation. As you guys in VIP know, our next bullish target on Ether is going to be, wait a minute, I'm just going to remove everything. Remove drawings. I had a 213 as my next target, which is also 61.8. Yeah, 212, 213. We've been long from here. We added along the way. I added over here. My current average is 150 for my long. I'm not super happy with it. I did add a few times, just maybe getting greedy. But I'm hedging at the highs, right? So my short average is 189, which is fantastic for now. But once I get stopped at like 192, I do want to see the move to 212, right? Ideally, that's 212, 213 should be the next target for Ether. Now, one chart that's been really strong these last couple of weeks, and I highlighted that for you guys in VIP, is ETH BTC. And for you guys that got into this trade and held on to your positions right on leverage, you freaking made it. Like you should be up a lot. Your BitMEX account should be raging on ETH M20. So we look at the 3-day chart. There's a massive wedge, guys. Massive wedge. We actually longed back here on the previous future and it dumped before expiry, but it was still in profit. My current average is 0.021, right? And I'm up over 1,000% right now on this trade. A lot of you guys should be, because throughout this whole consolidation period, I was updating the chart almost every day, right? At this bottom, almost every day throughout this area, saying, hey, I'm adding to long, I'm adding the long. And here's what to expect. Right now, if you zoom in on the intraday on the 4-hour, it is above wedge resistance. On the daily, it is above the wedge's resistance. This could be a very early phase of a major Ether cycle, right? If you guys in VIP, I did post saying this ETH setup could be one of those life-changing trades. Whenever ETH goes on these cycles, I'm not saying we're gonna get 1,000% on spot, but when ETH does go on these bullish cycles, right? I mean, it's a 200,000% move. We haven't seen an Ether major cycle since 2017. So if this thing does play out, right, these last, between 83 and 132 days, so my June future, I plan on holding till expiry until we see like reason to get out. Ideally, if you get a 61.8 here, 0.1, right? It's a 4x from here on spot, 3x from here, 4x from our entry. So it's looking interesting, right? It's looking very interesting. Current Ether setup. No, 0.1, not, yeah. Alright, I believe I've covered what I wanted to cover. I covered the majors, I covered BTC, I covered Ether, covered the S&P. You guys show me some charts. Let's talk markets. Let's Yeah, let's talk alts. What do you guys want me to look at? Fright light. This, yes, for Ether to run, for ETH BTC to start this run, it has to be before BTC, or else it's gonna go sideways. And I've been kind of posting like my TradingView watch list, and if you look at all the dailies, you know, I put up like every other day, you know, Ether up 12%, Bitcoin up 6%, Ether up 7%, Bitcoin up 3%, right? The USD pair. So it has been rallying a lot harder than BTC. Now, if we go into like the weekly, right, we can say that for the past 2 weeks, Ether has kicked Bitcoin's butt, right? In the last 2 weeks, it's up 21% more than BTC, right? And that's just looking at the BTC chart, and that's what's going to drive these rallies. All right, I got 2 requests. I'm going to start with Link. Actually, I'm going to start with Tesla. So, man, this market makes no sense. Like, who's gonna order these electric cars, right? When you can't even go anywhere, and we don't know how long lockdown is supposed to end. Now, God, I got some really good fibs drawn on here. This looks like the right fib. Totally. Alright, so what is Tesla doing? It's essentially, it's back in this blow-off mode. One thing I mentioned last stream was, think of this drop as a shakeout, and if you're looking to enter the market, pick up things that had momentum. Tesla was blowing off, Microsoft was blowing off, right? You look at those 2 charts, and they're just back up, right? Amazon. Alright, so what would I want to see here? I mean, from 740 to 965, I mean, that's a big jump, right? And at this point, I mean, you can say this thing is bubbling. Who's going to buy these vehicles with the market in a standstill, right? I mean, we don't know how many jobs have been lost. I have 0 faith, but there's obviously a superior force moving the market than what I think about it. That's the weekly. Let's go to the daily. Alright, now it's starting to make more sense. I want to see what happens at 734, right? I wouldn't want to trade Tesla just yet. I'm not in it. I'm not sure if you're you have calls, you're trading options, or if you're just buying and hold kind of guy. Once again, I said, you know, the S&P is doing a 61.8 retracement. Let's check the retracement here. We're going to take swing high, go down to swing low. It's above the 61.8, right? I mean, which is ridiculously bullish. I'd wait and see the next test of 733 to kind of confirm what happens. If it does continue up, like, and I was trading calls, 835 would just naturally be the next target. Yeah, it did. Drew, talking to you. All right, going over Link. By the way, Link, I think Link is the top performing asset of the year as of now. Way above the 61.8. It's testing the 78.6. We go to Link USD. We go to the daily. And this is starting to look like a liquidity grab, guys, right? I mean, you can't say this is not a liquidity grab. When an asset dumps 69% in the course of a week and then rallies 109%, you can't say this wasn't a liquidity grab, right? And just because BTC hasn't reached the 61.8 doesn't mean that it's not gonna, right? Now, Link is at the 61.8 here. It is doing a bit of a wedge, right? Which short term could mean that it's gonna turn around, especially if it fails to close above 360. And maybe come back down to like 326 or 280, right? That's definitely a possibility. But a lot of times, right, a rising wedge is it's a leading diagonal, right? That's based on Elliott wave. So your leading diagonal in wave 1. So if this was the ABC correction, I'm not the Elliott wave chartist, right? And then we have this. If this was, let me go ahead and Elliott wave it out. I haven't done EW in a while. So if this is going to be wave 1, you're going to have a subwave in it. So likely a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And I'm just eyeballing these. There's going to be a smaller 5 over here, a smaller 5 count inside the wedge, right? And that's going to give you your leading diagonal, right? And the leading diagonal is going to have a breakdown and then a big jump up, and we would be going into wave 2, and then 3 is going to be the big overextended wave. A big example of that, right? I'm looking at one right now on the chart, is what happened here. And this was a leading diagonal, right? And yes, okay, it broke down afterwards, but then it went up in an extended leg, right? After that rising wedge where you're like, oh, I'm going to short it down to 0, it drops 19%. But then the asset goes ahead, turns around, makes a whopping 103%, right? So at this point, I'm not a Link buyer. I will be a Link buyer on the breakdown. All right. Now, do you have any other requests? Come on, fam, show me something. You guys on Facebook are awfully quiet. Drop me a comment, tell me you hate me or something. Alright, so that's what I'm seeing on Link, right? Let's use move drawings. Let's open up the trading suite. I'm not sure if you're going to make all these 4 points. What's going on here? Gotta be the 9, the 21. So there's a bit of a wolf wave on the 4-hour. And it's using a harmonic scanner. But I would essentially kind of wait this out and for that good entry, right? Now, Link BTC might continue to rally, even though we're going to see a pullback. All right, Zcoin is flying today. For you guys that follow me in my the one coin I masternode or I stake, going in over Zeke BTC. Anonymity is gonna have a place in the future, right? Especially with. So, okay, we talk about, nothing's, you hear me say, who's going to buy these cars? Who's going to jumpstart this economy? I think that we're facing a catalyst that we've never seen before in crypto history of every nation is printing so much, right? They're all printing so much money. They're all doing these bailouts, and they're gonna cause hyperinflation. And we're not seeing hyperinflation take place, right? We're just not. But not yet. But it will. It will very soon. And I think that's gonna be one of the prime driver in driving up BTC prices and driving up Ether prices, because you can't just print more ETH, you gotta mine it, right? And soon you won't even be mining ETH anymore. It's gonna move to proof of stake. So, yeah, we're looking at some major shifts of forces. Zeke's looking really good, right? It's above the 61.8. At this point, I'd say 0.085 is in the books, right? It's looking like it's going parabolic. So, I mean, I'd hang on for another 27% and reassess there. Let's go to the daily. There could be some wedges on here. Okay, I have to switch exchange just because there's not enough. Binance charts are so young compared to Bittrex charts. Look at that. Like, so much more data. Oh, wait a minute. That's Ether. I'm like, this chart looks familiar. Boom. Still, so much more data. And then, you know, if you look at these early Zeke rallies, right? They look very much similar to what happened previously to what we're entering now. And that's why I think we're going to enter this cycle, this market cycle, where some things might outperform BTC for a little while, right? My face is kind of covering it. So you see something like that, it's just an overextended sell-off, and then a major rally, which kind of looks like what we're seeing now, right? Possible double bottom, right? And I'm not going to say, oh, it's going to moon, but my next FIP target, just kind of like how we did with ETH, and we shorted 189 for a hedge just to protect our capital. Right, my next FIP target is going to be 0.008, right, on Zeke, so it's something to look out for. I think so. Okay, so I would stay away from May I would stay away from June, right? Personally, I wouldn't. I mean, there is the election coming up. When is election? I'll answer that. Let me go ahead and go through some of these charts, and I'll answer that. Sorry, I was just getting excited about more questions in YouTube. If you guys on YouTube, smash that like button. Help us out. XCC, BTC, XCC. So Zcoin is starting to rebound again, right? I think it did 25% today, and then it retraced some. It did 29% today, and then it retraced some. So on Phantom, let me try the 2-day. Once again, I have to switch exchanges because I like more data. So daily's above our midline, right? I think next up, based on Phantom, we're above the midline. I'd want to see a move to 006. Now, and just like all these other assets right now, I'd want to look for that 61.8, at least for starters. What happened on this last extension? It went to the 1.618, and then it retraced back down. At this point, if I drag that out further, are these fibs still valid? I'd say so, but ideally you want to hunt the 61.8 correlating to this sell-off to get our next target. Alright, 0.007 is going to be the next target on XZC, which is Zcoin. If you look in the nodes, I still think they're going up in amount of nodes that are being, women staking going on. And this is still a pretty good price for Zcoin. I think it's still under $5 today. XZC USD. Yeah, it's $4.28 for a coin that has ran, all the way up to. I didn't know it ran at 236. 140 is where I sold. That was the peak I sold. USD Bittrex. Boom, yeah, 140. So yeah, it's definitely still in the buy zone, right? If you're looking to start a master node, this is one of the easiest nodes to start. LTC. So it's not as bullish as Ether, right? I think it's going down against ETH. Yeah, right. I mean, you guys know I've been preaching Ether since September, just because I've been waiting for this bigger cycle. We look at Litecoin right now. It's not looking fantastic against ETH. I'd much rather want to wait it out, right? And if it's not looking good against ETH, it might look a little better against BTC, but I don't think it does. Not as of yet, right? So, no comment. Let me see what happens with Phantom. 4 hour. I'm not seeing anything that's screaming bullish on Litecoin. I'm not. I think once Ether has its major rally, then we can see Litecoin go up, right? Because it's going to be that, what's the next cheap crypto I can buy for these new entrants to market? Just like what we saw in 2017. We saw some coins take off and others lag behind. So we might see something like that. Another 4 hour. Where's the 61.8 in terms of dollars? Yeah, it's so far behind BTC. It's so far behind Ether. Where it might not rally hard this time around, right? And why do I say that? Because we saw Ether stall out and pretty much do the same thing in 2019. Ether had a terrible year in 2019 compared to the other two. This is what I was trying to hunt earlier. It looks like a ascending triangle, a little bit of a retest. And this looks like a wedge. It's a wedge. Looks like a diagonal. It could be an ending diagonal, which is practically a falling wedge, and yeah, that's a falling wedge right here. So I'm probably gonna see it move up, right? But I don't know if it's gonna be like the top gainer. I don't think so, right? Like you guys in VIP, my BitMEX account is entirely dedicated to one position, which is ETH BTC long. And I'm using other exchanges for my USD pairs. You bet, Mark. Thank you, Christopher. All right. Let's go back to the S&P and the US. I'm gonna go SPY. Always have my extended hours on, right? Because I want more fluidity in the chart. You guys know, we're back here at that stream where I said the inverse head and shoulders, and we're gonna see 292, and we saw 292. We're up there. Let's go to the daily. I want to see what RBI is doing. I mean, a signal buy. thing is, you know, if the Fed is solely printing and moving this market, nobody knows what's going to happen, how far up it could go, right? I mean, this was the case back here. For some of you guys that have been with me since 2018 or 2017, 2018, especially Q4 2018, we projected the crash, we traded the crash. We didn't see a reason for a rally, right? Through Christmas Eve, we're like, hey, you know what? We'll hold our shorts for another day or two, and next thing you know, we just blew it out of the water, and that's what they did here. Blew shorts out of the freaking water. And that was the Fed, right? And we see a lot of gap opens, and that's just buying futures and after hours, trapping short slow, and sending it up, right? And they sent it up so much that we saw the blow off top take place. And yeah, anytime you see one of these big drops, you want to make sure that if it's a liquidity grab, that you take it. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with coronavirus, right? Nobody knows. And we don't know that. And what's going to happen to like individual companies. Neiman Marcus is filing bankruptcy today. Just read a headline about Neiman Marcus and bankruptcy. We're going to see a lot of that, right? But we know that that's not what's moving the market. There's other forces moving the market, right? And right now it's the Fed, right? And it's speculation, but I think it's mainly the Fed. Now, until they're ready to give up and they want to see a crash, they're not going to let it happen. So I would stay away from May and June. We might see another liquidity play. May's fine, right? June, I think, I don't know. I'd watch out for that 292, 293, and that 300 mark. Looking at the daily, the 300 is a 2.618, right? And I published back in December of 2019, I said we're going to see a savage sell-off. We're going to see a savage retest on the weekly chart back to 2.618. People thought I was crazy, right? I had a hedge fund manager laugh at me and say, whatever you think. And I was like, hey, it was Q1 of 2020. I'm like, hey, load up on the VIX. It's going to fly. And he's like, no way. We're going to blow off. It's not going to stop. I'm like, no, there's going to be a big shakeout. The reason being is there's always a shakeout. When we get up to these significant fib levels, there's always a savage shakeout. And here, coronavirus did it, right? So this market might continue to go up, especially with everybody that sells short is getting squeezed, right? So it could squeeze higher. But back to June, I would not have any calls above 293 right now, right? Just because of where we are in terms of like fib significance, right? So a 293 call, let's say 293 call through May, right? May 15th or something, and we go to 302 and 314, that call is going to be so deep in the money, it's going to be so freaking good. But you know, buying a 303 call right now is going to be high risk, right? Wait out 293. Let's see if it becomes support, and then we'll think about higher targets. That's my play. You can do what you want to do, but I mean that's essentially what I'm looking for. Let's scan for harmonics, right? Boom! Look at that, beautiful. Look at this scan. Got a bearish 886 that ends at 303, right? So we might get that. So those 290 calls, 293s, you know, holding them until they go in the money could prove to be promising, right? So we can potentially get up to the 886 to 302 bull trap for the stop at 318. Then go down in a bearish retracement. I don't think we're gonna go from 287 above 318 straight up. I don't think that's the case. Yeah, so I mean, earnings are gonna look like shit. The only earnings are gonna be up gonna be like Microsoft, Amazon, cloud services, streaming services, eBay. Everything's moving online, right? Some of you are like Uber. Um, I don't know if DoorDash publicly traded, right? So like those types of services are gonna go up. Anything that's low risk and low human to human interaction. So SPXL is what I have more bags of, right? The extra long. What these are gonna do, what the XPXS and XPXL are gonna do, they're gonna give you similar exposure in terms of options. They're going to give you similar exposure in terms of direction. They're going to be a little cheaper, a lot cheaper, right? So, I mean, if you buy like the $40 call for like May 15, which is what I have, right? And you've probably seen me post my my returns on my SPXL calls. You know, when we had this sell-off, I was able to buy $36 calls for like 35 cents. And then a week later, I sold them for $2, $265. So, you know, turning $35 calls into 260, you know, every 35 bucks turns into 260. That's a hell of a trade. But had I, you know, doing that with S&P options, it's going to be more risk because those calls were like quite a bit more expensive. So if you wanted to get like 10 SPXL calls, you know, that'd be $350, and you can scale out 10 times, right? Versus one SPY call would be $350, right? So, and you can only scale out once, and that's why I'm trading the XL and XS, because they're going to give you the same type of similar exposure, because these run, what's it called? They have decay, right? So the chart's not going in your favor. They're going to decay. They're going to lose value. And it's going to go against you, but when it gets moving, it's a 3% move. So that's why I'm trading those. It allows me to get more positions out of the same amount of capital, and so I can scale out more times, be able to add more times, and just give me more flexibility with each position. I don't day trade. I swing trade, so I don't see what. I mean, it would be relative in a scaling in, right? But I mean, I think between 31, after 31, I did not do anything. I'm just gonna wait it out until we get to my targets. So yeah, it was 800%. It's into the moon. Go into Shopify. You guys go ahead and drop me some more charts to look at, and then we will. I'll go over them. This is a beautiful chart, right? So a lot of these, you know, overexcited bears are gonna say, "Oh, it's a double top. Oh, it's coming down." But at this point, you know, as euphoric as this looks, especially in once again, what I just said about no contact, 668, guys. Yeah, I might buy $668 calls on Shop on Monday, right? That would be my next target, just based on this move. If you look here, you know, this was a descending broadening wedge. That's bullish as heck. Now the golden entry here would have been at like 415, and you know, trading, you know, 482 calls, which is 61.8. Then you hold that into the money and it runs. Show me some more charts. Show me some more traditionals. Look at that. There was another descending broadening wedge here. Not quite. It's more of a cup and handle. Nah, this is what I'm looking at. That's what I saw. Yes, market dynamic was completely different then, but potentially you could see a similar breakout setup. Problem is, there's nobody's gonna short above 590 because they don't know what the next resistance is. So I really think 668's in the books. I'm gonna write down a note to shop 668, just so I can see it on market open tomorrow. All right, XRP. The cripple. Alright, removed. So, alright, XRP USD, right? It looks almost ready. XRP USD looks bullish-ish, right? I mean, we saw. It's kind of similar to that Shopify descending broadening wedge. Except for this one was at the top and this one's not, right? I mean, it's a similar setup. I don't see anything super bullish on Ripple. But we're also like way below 61.8. Now, if I was trading like XRP USD futures, I would long to 25 cents, but I'm not trading them right now. Especially if there's no future that I can trade without paying interest. So it's kind of like a perpetual. I don't trade perps if I don't have to. I don't like paying funding, and I don't like I don't like paying interest, right? I don't want to keep up with that. That's why I trade like September futures right now for Ether and BTC. So, I mean, XRP potentially going up to 25, but if we look at XRP, BTC, I don't see anything remarkably bullish, especially since we're going sideways for so long. I'm not a fan of that, right? The chart is going to pull a liquidity move in either direction. And, you know, I looked at it the other day and it looked sort of bullish, but I don't think it's ready. And if you look at like XRP ETH, it's probably eating the dust right now. I don't know. No comment. Eric, thank you for your tips there, man. I like using the tools that I like using because it might not be a parallel channel. What was I looking at? XRP ETH or XRP USD? That's my show. Don't tell me what to use. What do you think you are, man? What do you think? You're my governor? You're gonna tell me, you know, like, that's my channel. Potentially see like a descending broadening wedge here, and yeah, I don't see anything parallel here, right? I mean, unless we did this, and I don't quite think it's a parallel. So yeah, I use the tools I want to use. If you don't like it, watch another stream. Anyways, guys, thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to catch me on Discord. Hop in Discord. Chat us up. We covered a lot in the stream, and I'm gonna try to stream more often since you can't really do anything, but just you guys be engaged. Yeah. So yeah, catch you guys on Discord. Trade safe, use stop losses, and yeah, don't get caught shorting too soon. That's how you lose. And don't long too high. That's how you lose too.